you getting the feeling for how annoying these 10-minute time limits get when you're trying to do content like this? It's. If I can get a second internet connection here, I may just go, you know what, watch the Ustream feed. It's like...
Now, have you ever used Justin TV?
I've used it. The problem here's the thing: to get a reliable bandwidth signal, realistically, you need to be have at least 512 upload.
Okay.
Reliably, and that'll let you do pretty good quality 360 or 480 line image. If you start getting much below that, and that's actually something I want to talk about in the next point, because they're talking about this. We have 720 video, but what's the bandwidth? I mean, I can have a 1080. I could. I mean, we're taping in 720 right here, but if I rendered these at a ridiculously low data rate, this would be the crappiest thing in the world. It looked great on a small form factor. It looked horrible on anything else.
I'm not familiar with how they operate, specifically Justin TV and Ustream, but doesn't one of the two allow you to record video and save it to their servers, kind of like a YouTube, where the user can play it back on demand?
I think Ustream allows that now. It's Ustream, you can save your archives, but you still have to be broadcasting it to them. Like if you're broadcasting a Ustream show, then your past shows will be in the thing saved in their archives now.
Okay.
Which I think preliminarily might want to be something we want to switch to, so we can just sit down and do the show straight. I'd still like to be able to get the stuff on YouTube if we can, just because, but there are issues there. Anyways, back to the stuff. What were we on? Oh, we were on the end. On the glitch. Yeah. I kind of felt sorry for him, but I didn't feel too sorry, because, disgruntled people in the audience, and I'm sure this never made the official version of the thing that wound up on Apple's site, but people yelling, try Verizon, what was the other, and I'm sure all of those glitches will be edited out like they never happened. We won't see Steve asking people to get the hell off the Wi-Fi on Apple's site. That's just not gonna happen.
And I don't know if you watched the episode of Twit This Week in Tech this week. I know you said you were going to. Someone there made a comment that they watched the video of the keynote again, slowed it down in slow motion, and they were zooming in, and it showed the iPhone was on a 3G connection at the first attempt. So if that's the case, then it had nothing to do with Wi-Fi. It was pure 3G when they were trying to load the New York Times page.
Yeah.
When he tried it again, it was on Wi-Fi, and still having problems. And Jobs asked everyone to turn their notebooks off or put their notebooks down, shut them off for a minute. So, to me, it just seems like that they were having an issue.
See, the supposed issue there is that there's a driver issue. I'm not going to sit up here and say that, even though I hate Apple, because A, I have nothing to verify it on, and B, having messed in places where you have up-teen jillion signals. I mean, there's a college campus a few miles from here. There's one building in there that there is just so much EM interference in that building from the various equipment and the physics labs and all the computers and everything else that it simulates a Faraday cage effect perfectly. You cross the threshold of that building's EM field, you have zero signal on anything. Doesn't matter. So that just because that is all true doesn't necessarily mean anything's actually wrong with the 3G on the iPhone 4. It could have just been overwhelming signal overload. Even though they're on different frequencies, when you pass a certain threshold of EM interference, it doesn't matter anymore what signal it's on. Supposedly we license signals so this never happens, but you're talking about a building with a few thousand people in it and other things and other stuff. I mean, do you think there's honestly a problem with it, or do you think do you want to give them the benefit of the doubt on that until...
I'm kind of like you. I would give them the benefit of the doubt. But I just have to think that if it was a driver issue, that would say to me that Apple went into this thing with this new phone that was half-baked, if you will. And I just don't see Apple being a multi-billion-dollar company that they are, coming to WWDC with something that they weren't sure of.
Well,
in my opinion, they were absolutely sure this thing was ready to be presented, to do the keynote, to do all the presentations with it, the demonstrations, and it was ready. Now, if it was all the interference, okay, but I've never heard of that particular situation before.
I would have never believed it could happen until I encountered that one building up there. So I'm like, they're on different frequencies. They can't interfere with each other. Like, that would have been my official stance on that. That's the reason we license frequency and allocate certain frequencies to certain things, so this never happens. I would have never believed, but something happens in the way when you just get too many of them that they coalesce to form a Faraday cage effect. It's the weirdest phenomenon I have ever seen. Everything I thought I understood about how radio frequencies work told me this shouldn't be possible. But
well, I think there again, with Wi-Fi, even with the N standard, there's only 30 channels, less than 30 channels. So if you're talking, 500 people or so, those 30 channels, you're going to have a lot of people who are on the same channel.
Well, no, I could see Wi-Fi interfering with Wi-Fi, but I meant I would have never believed that Wi-Fi could interfere with 3G or 2.4 megahertz could interfere with 1.4 or 5.4, so on and so forth.
Right.
But when you get enough of them together in certain architectures, it's a combination of certain radio wavelengths combining with certain architectures. It simulates a Faraday cage from the EM from a combination of how the EM is lining up. I would have never believed it was possible. I'm like, okay, theoretically I can imagine this going on, but until I encountered buildings where it actually takes place, I would have said you're full of shit, because the number of things that have to line up for that to happen are, that's like I'm going to walk across the street and appear on the other side of the galaxy type thing. It's theoretically, yeah, it you wouldn't believe it could happen, but it actually does. And that's the thing. Like we'll find out in a month. Like with the iPad, it's the number one complaint about the iPad was weak Wi-Fi. I don't think that problem was a complaint really in the 3G ones. I don't think the 3G ones have weak 3G. But anyways, where were we? Okay, got the display, got the shine, got the sun. I just think it's funny that he had to yell at him 3 times.
Yeah. And let's not forget that AT&T is probably the most reliable mobile service provider today. And in any recent survey that I've read, AT&T ranks at the bottom of every list.